Hello, everyone. It's that time of year. I am going to be ranking my personal favorite 40 songs of the year. These songs all have to have been released within the year of 2023, which means that there are a couple songs that I would have included on this list that, as I went back and did some double checking, I realized they did not actually qualify. Shout out to Free Yourself by Jessie Ware, Escapism by Ray, and Welcome to My Island by Caroline Polachek. Those three songs would have probably made it onto this list if they had actually come out in 2023, but instead they came out a couple months before. So in the spirit of, being true to that rule, unfortunately, I am not going to be including them in this list, but they would have been there otherwise. Again, not much music comes out the last 2 weeks of December, so I'm trying to be, in fact, with one recent project that I listened to right before finalizing this list, as all-encompassing of the year's music output as possible, but things can fall through the cracks that come out at the end of the year. I also do not have a rule that an artist can only appear once on this list. I know I see some other rankers do that. It's just not a true ranking if you're, limiting yourself that way. Although I do try to not overrepresent. I do try and make my top 40 lists diverse. But again, these are all really not so much objective best songs of the year. These are definitely, influenced to a small degree by what other critics are saying and what others are saying about what are the best songs of the year. But by and large, most of this is my own choice. And I'm not going to include a song I don't enjoy listening on this list just because it's critically acclaimed. And obviously, everyone's list is going to be different. So I'd be really interested to see all of your lists in the comments because it's just a wonderful time of year to recap what's happened in music. And it's always fun to see other people's best songs of the year videos. And I will be talking about 40 songs, so I'm going to try and go through them pretty quick, but these videos can get pretty long. But there will be 10 honorable mentions that I will list in the comment section. And there'll be a playlist on Apple Music that I created, which will have all of these songs, and it'll include the 10 honorable mentions. The songs will be listed in the order that I talk about them, from my least favorite to most favorite. So check that out if you are interested. So I do want to also mention that Taylor Swift's 2 re-recordings that she released this year, Speak Now and 1989, the songs that were originally released in those respective years that those albums originally came out, that were then re-recorded in 2023, will not be included on this list. They're not eligible because they're basically the same song, just with updated vocals and maybe slight differences in instrumentation, but it's mimicking the original as best as possible. The only songs from those 2 projects that are eligible are all of the new vault tracks. Even though they were written a long time ago, they were not released until 2023. So they count as new material. So I just wanted to also give that disclaimer. Otherwise, you would see some Speak Now songs and maybe some 1989 songs pop into this list. But no, they would have gone into the 2010 and 2014 lists. Just to clarify. But let's begin with song number 40. So just creeping into this list, just making it onto this list, we have an artist who I have not been familiar with up until I created this list. I always like to look at the Pitchfork Best Songs of the Year list. I know that Pitchfork has a lot of hot takes and is very pretentious with their taste and who they choose to award and who they give their glowing praise for and who they either ignore or potentially do really dirty with their reviews. But I also do think Pitchfork has, for all its flaws, a really good pulse on what's happening in the alternative art space of music. And so I do want to give it a look every year. And for this year, the song that Pitchfork turned me on to goes to CoStar by Amare. She is a Ghanaian artist, a Ghanaian American artist who I believe is actually on her second album. And this song is kind of a love letter to the astrology signs, to all of your star signs. She basically rattles them all off and talks about how compatible each one could be with someone. And it's a very interesting play in the video. She's kind of flirting with all these anthropomorphized versions of them as different women. I believe she is a lesbian. So there's definitely a strong LGBT energy here, which I love to see. And the song is infectious. The production is just so light on its feet, but very captivating. It's so iridescent and shimmery and glossy. Couldn't escape its pull.
The sand from your hair is blowing in my eyes. Blame it on the beach, grown men don't cry.
At number 39, we have a country artist who I also had not been familiar until this year when he released an album called his self-titled album, Zach Bryan. But it was the collaboration with my favorite country legend superstar, Casey Musgraves, that really turned me on. And of course, this is a collaboration that did really well on the charts this year. I do not believe a music video was ever filmed, but there really should have been one. This is definitely an element of country, especially from a male artist that really speaks my language. Casey and Zach are so wonderfully suited together, and I love that line about pavement and it burns when two souls meet. It's one of the lyrics that stayed with me the most this year and one of the most clever I've heard.
Someone to save me, someone to set me free. I call on
me. At number 38, we have Call on Me by BB Rexa off of her BB album. This is an electrifying electropop track that is ready for the clubs. It's ready for a night out and a real fun time to dance to. And I know it's not the most, BB Rexa's music is not exactly highbrow, but this is sort of my anti-Pitchfork. This is where Pitchfork and I differ. I definitely like a good Britney Spears moment, so I will always support it when it's done well, even if it has a lot of autotune.
And the city is quiet. I should be asleep by the heat of the fire, but I'm on my way out, and I'm gonna stay out.
Speaking of autotune, at number 37, I can't believe I included it on this list, but as I was putting it together, I realized that there was a Cher spot just waiting for her. Cher put out a Christmas album. It's actually crazy to believe that, 50 years into her career, she's never actually put out a real Christmas project. But when she did this October, the lead single, DJ Play Me a Christmas Song, grew and grew and became this earworm that couldn't leave my head. And it's truly magnetic, very reminiscent of her album Believe. This is, as she says, not your mom's Christmas album, even though if you listen to it, there's a lot of Michael Bublé, fireside Christmas kind of holly jolly, more age-appropriate fare. But I do like seeing an electropop, dance track that is very reminiscent, as I said, of her 90s hit Believe. So I think that this is such a fitting kind of what you wouldn't expect from Cher because it's a Christmas song, but it's about having fun in a nightclub.
DJ played Christmas song. I'm gonna say it. Fight me on it. It's the greatest Christmas song to come out since All I Want for Christmas Is You.
I mean, only Cher can pull this off with that kind of egregious autotune. And if you're a fan of, her 1998 and 2001 albums, it fits just right. At number 36, we have the collaboration between Empress of and Rina Sawayama, their new song, Kiss Me. This song is very reminiscent of mid to late 2000s R&B pop crossover hits that we don't get as many of today, with a really uplifting major chord kind of chorus that soars off the page and beautiful harmonizations between the two vocalists. I'm really hopeful. I believe this is off of an Empress of upcoming project. I really hope that this is off of an upcoming album that, lives in that same sonic energy, whatever the upcoming project might be.
I met the girl of my dreams, but she doesn't believe me. I fell in love by the sea.
Romy is another queer artist who I had not been familiar with until the album Midair came out. And I figured I should check it out because I'm really trying, I really try on Apple Music every week to be looking at album covers and seeing what's clicking and trying out new artists with sampling their songs. And The Sea was the big standout. And I think that you'll see a number of electronic dance songs on this list that I do come to more for the beat and production than necessarily lyrical content. But that's always how it's been with my channel. I do almost put sonic above lyric in most cases, unless we're talking about like a very bare bones ballad that is meant to be super emotional. But there's a lot of emotion and a lot of longing. Bare bones lyrics paired with the wistful house beats that propel this song.
Then let me be the first to stand in line. So I make this wish to have something more for us than this.
I wasn't exactly sure whether I would actually prefer the end credits song to the latest Disney animated film Wish over the kind of poster I Want song from the movie called This Wish, sung by Ariana DeBose, who plays Asha, the main character. I ultimately did go with This Wish over the closing credits song because I do think that actually this song is a nod. It's a very heartwarming nod to the kind of Disney ballad, the Disney I Want song that Disney is so well known for. I do think that Julia Michaels perhaps isn't the best suited for writing these kinds of almost Broadway, these songs that are sort of built for a Broadway musical in the way that Alan Menken might have been. But Ariana DeBose sells the vocal and emotion. And besides some of the tripping over itself lyrical word soup, that is, trying to cram too much into a verse rhythmically. Besides some of that, particularly in the second verse, I really love the chorus and the orchestral and guitar backing. So melodically, this one is a standout. And it's one of the melodies that sticks the most with you from the film. Disney's Wish is not exactly the best of what Disney can offer, and it's a shame because of it being its centennial film. But the music is definitely the one heart of the film that I really feel strongly attached to, regardless of what naysayers may say.
Begging me to stay, and then you walk away. There's something that you wanted to say. I was in a rush.
If you've seen my Nicki Minaj Pink Friday 2 review I just put out, I talked a lot about how Last Time I Saw You is my favorite song off the record, and I stand by that. And I figured it deserved a spot on this list. It is the most emotional, the best produced, the best kind of sampling of her vocal ability, along with some really heartfelt, raw lyricism that Nicki Minaj, when fully tapped in emotionally, can deliver.
Quiet. Love in me is running in the house, it's burning down, baby. Honestly, make it down.
Peace and Quiet is one of the strangest songs Kesha has ever made. It's balls to the wall with the creative exploration and experimentation sonically that she really chose to spotlight on her latest album, Gag Order. And although it took a while for it to grow on me, I can't deny the expertise on display, like I said, with the experimentation and the production, but also the poignancy of the lyrics. The two together really drive home the frenetic, anxious, and frustrated energy that this song is springing forth from.
Wherever you go, I follow you home. I'll always be your ghost. Look at me now.
Norwegian singer-songwriter Sigrid is an artist who I peripherally kept an eye on with her recent releases, and the first song to really grab me from her is Ghost, which is off of her latest EP. Sometimes a just very back-to-basics guitar ballad with really rich, textured vocals that bring home a earnest and heartfelt melody that just feels so warm, like a fall cup of cocoa. It just does the trick.
We got the night. Baby, what are we holding on to? Baby, where do we want to run to? Oh.
The first of some Kylie Manogue songs you'll see on this list, Hold On To Now, is a electrifying and stratospheric pop ballad that straddles the line between dance floor and outer space in a way that only Kylie can, in a very, celebratory way. And so the song demonstrates some of the best of what Kylie can offer, 4 decades into her career.
Like the sun is the hope that sets us free.
So the latest edition, I literally just listened to the entire soundtrack album that this comes from, literally the day I'm filming this video. The Color Purple is a new Warner Brothers musical from the Alice Walker novel, which was adapted as a film, which then became a Broadway musical. This version is a film version of that musical, and the closing song, The Color Purple, was the one from the soundtrack that stuck out to me the most. I like several songs off the soundtrack, but this one's the most moving for me. As someone who has not seen either film, I still have not seen the Steven Spielberg film. I do intend to, and I, of course, have not seen this new film, which hasn't even come out yet. It comes out on Christmas Day. But, talk about really cutting it in under the wire. The soundtrack just came out, and I'm very glad I happened to catch it because Fantasia Barrino is amazing vocally, along with Taraji P. Henson and Danielle Brooks, who all harmonize beautifully. Even Sierra's on this song. I didn't even know Sierra had a part in this movie. Sierra's a little out of place, but she doesn't bring it. It comes together wonderfully. This is a standout musical, and this is a standout song that's very emotional, full of heart, full of the energy of the film, which I can't wait to see.
You got me begging for a way to lose you, 'cause I need that bitter taste, and I'm letting you go to waste.
Similar to Romy, Luna is an artist I'd never heard of until this album came out, and called Mycelium, and I was captivated by one of the songs I sampled called Sugar, and I couldn't stop listening to it. And so Predator and Lauren Faith are credited. I do not know, who contributes what, but this is definitely a synth pop electronic delight from UK artist Luna that utilizes a futuristic sound in such a hypnotizing and spellbinding way with undeniable 90s house beats that are ready for RuPaul's Drag Race.
Butterfly all alone, but can you fly on your own?
Jon Batiste is a vocal and piano savant who I have slowly been compelled to fully dive into. And his newest album, World Music Radio, has a standout song for me called Butterfly that I definitely think, although may seem a little bit too traditional for some music fans, some pop music fans, still sells the idea that a strong melody with piano is always going to win. Jon Batiste knows how to deliver, knows how to command your attention with chord changes and vocal swells that just stop you in your tracks. And so he is definitely worth the accolades he gets from the Grammys. I really get it now. And so this felt like it's really starting to sell me on what he can deliver when he's at the piano.
Myself with my heart, but I've had to let it break a little more, 'cause they say that's what it's for.
Another bare bones piano ballad is off of Lana Del Rey's monumental record, Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard? Spoiler alert, this is not the only song you're going to see from that album on this list. Kintsugi is a Japanese word for fixing cracks and not covering them up, but putting gold in them in porcelain and ceramic to sort of highlight the flaws rather than hide them. And Lana Del Rey is using that metaphorically to sing about her family life and the passing of several aunts and uncles, and as well as her grandmother. And reflecting on the passing of time and the familial relationships that she is a legacy of. There's a thematic exploration of familial experience and the ties that bond a family together, especially in a time of mourning, and the thoughts that run through your head while you're at a funeral are all so gut-wrenchingly illustrated on this track that in some ways the lyrics do transcend the melody. And this is one of those rare instances where I permit Lana that privilege, because even though I do love the accompaniment and the overall composition, I think the lyrics on their own carry this song as one of the highlights from the record.
I want more. I want to be where the people.
You know, I have to make a disclaimer. I made a mention at the beginning of the video that I would not be including Taylor Swift's re-recordings because I feel like those songs are basically the same, just recorded in the future. But trying to mimic the original sound. But when you have an adaptation of a film from many years ago, you come at it with, you know, a different singer, a slightly different arrangement. There's enough differences that I, you know, feel it's fair to include Part of Your World from the Little Mermaid 2023 remake. Halle Bailey alone is giving so many points to this song. Part of Your World is a phenomenal song as it is, melodically and lyrically, and it's one of my favorite Disney ballads. But it really stands out. It's one of the reasons why the Little Mermaid remake stands above a lot of the other Disney live action remakes we have seen in recent years. Because when you have a really competent, powerful vocalist actually delivering for your protagonist I Want song, it makes a huge world of difference. And there's just certain things she does on this version that makes me almost never want to listen to the Jodie Benson one again, because there are certain turns and stops and techniques vocally that she employs here that just elevate this song like it was made for Halle. And so I had to include it. Maybe it would have been higher on this list if this is a new original song written for the film. I have to dock it some points because it is, you know, a cover. But it's worthy of being included on this list because it's bringing something very new and fresh and reviving an already strong, iconic melody. Another late addition to the game, The Crown Season 6. Their final soundtrack for their final season by Martin Phipps, who was the composer for the final 4 seasons of The Crown. The first 2 seasons were by Rupert Gregson-Williams. And I've grown to like Martin Phipps's orchestration for The Crown, but I do prefer Rupert. But, you know, they both elevate what is already a phenomenal show. If you have not watched it on Netflix, I highly recommend. But the song that actually closes out the entire show is a homage to a wartime ballad called Sleep Dearie Sleep that is performed on the bagpipe. And it was actually performed at Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022. And the number is interpolated into the score of the final moments of The Crown, which also sort of point to her eventual funeral. Even though The Crown doesn't technically cover present day, it does look to the future and to the not so distant future of when she will pass away from the vantage point of around 2005. And so if you've not seen the show, this might not make much sense, but I gotta hand it to these French horns and the and trumpets and the orchestra is just very, I mean, maybe it's also just the weight and sort of gravitas of the show ending and what it signifies, the death of the Queen. But there's just so much emotion imbued with this that I couldn't sweep it under the radar and not include it on this list. I'm a little surprised in its inclusion here, but ultimately I feel like it does fit and stand amongst the best songs of the year for me. Alison Goldfrapp, who went by her last name Goldfrapp for many years, producing electronic synth pop music in the UK, Finally put out an album using her full name. I, don't exactly know why she didn't in the past. I guess because in the past she collaborated with other producers that made it more like a band rather than a solo artist. So you could call this her solo album. Well, the lead single, So Hard, So Hot, was just an undeniable earworm that I could not get enough of when it came out in the spring. And so its inclusion on this list, again, stands amongst some of the best dance songs I've heard this year. Her production, the producers she works with, where I will admit the synth disco elements do kind of overwhelm her vocal. But like I said, I come almost for the production more than I do for the vocals in a song like this. Miley Cyrus's remorseful belting power ballad, Jaded, off of her album Endless Summer Vacation, was the immediate standout for me upon first listen for the record. I don't understand why Flowers got so big when a song like Jaded is right there. Flowers for me is nowhere near the level of gravitas and vocal performance that is on offer from Miley on a song like Jaded. And so for me, it was my real Miley song of the year, not Flowers. Flowers is a rather lackluster single, and I think a lot of Miley fans agree. It's amazing that she got such a huge hit this far into her career, but there are other songs of hers that deserved that sort of accolade far more.
Now that you're all in, 'cause I can hear your heart beating, I hear it.
At number 21, Kylie Manogue once again comes with Padam Padam, the inescapable, unexpected song of the summer. Though it was really mostly in the gay clubs, this song did kind of outside of Pride festivals make an impact on the radio, even in the United States, where Kylie hasn't really had a huge hit in at least a decade. Padam Padam did phenomenal for, Kylie being in her 50s. This is a kind of a landmark moment. And even though the song is just, I think, a wonderfully unapologetically camp synth pop song that is not afraid of being edgy at the sacrifice of being fitting into some current pop trend in music. Whereas I feel like other artists, sometimes get stuck in. I love how this song doesn't like what's current in pop radio today. It sounds like it could be from a long time ago or the future, because Kylie's timeless pop hits always have a futuristic edge. And so there's just something so undeniable about such a sleek produced track. Now, I will say again, lyrically, not much here, but it's definitely about this award goes more to the producers than it might do to Kylie herself, but still.
I smell the sweet scents of heaven.
At number 20, we have the Rolling Stones and Lady Gaga collaboration, which, I think a lot of us never saw coming. The Rolling Stones came out of retirement after 18 years to put out an album, and get Lady Gaga featured as a sort of backing vocalist who has a little bit of the second verse coming through on this 6-minute song. It's a very gospel rock song, not really my genre per se, but Lady Gaga can sell the phone book, as I've said before. And overall, even if Lady Gaga was not included on it, I think that there's some I think Mick Jagger has never sounded better to my ears. I've never really been a huge Rolling Stones fan, but his vocals sound pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah, you think that you got away, but I'm in the trees, I'm in the breeze, my footsteps on the ground, you'll see my face.
The closing ballad song off of The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, really hit me after I saw the movie. I loved the song before I saw it, Olivia Rodrigo's Can't Catch Me Now, but after having seen the film, it has even more weight. And if you've seen it, you know what I mean. And I'm really disappointed that this song didn't get a Golden Globes Best Original Song nomination. I'm really hoping there might be a shot for it at the Oscars, but also after having listened to the Color Purple soundtrack, and of course knowing all of the other songs I'd really love to see get in there, and of course Barbie, I'm not sure if this one has any room in there. But this is the real sort of unexpected movie breakout soundtrack song for me. And Olivia Rodrigo really takes to heart not only the energy and emotion of Lucy Gray's story in the film, but just is so endearing behind a country guitar. And the way she can expand and open up her vocal in such a powerful, commanding tone, commanding stance on the chorus shows that Olivia Rodrigo is here to stay. And those comparisons to Alanis Morissette are not unwarranted.
Is your memory, and I'm gonna take mine of you with me.
At number 18, we have the second Lana Del Rey song on this list, The Grants, which is the opening track off of Ocean Boulevard. I was surprised at first that I initially chose this one because I didn't expect it initially, but I thought, you know what, the more I listened to the whole record, the more I realized that The Grants has so much of the grandiosity, pardon the pun, melodically of the way this album sort of washes over you like a big wave of emotion. I talk about in the review how this sounds like, and it is interpolating a John Denver song, how there's an element of a church hymn, call and response. And this song has a way of getting under your skin in that regard, with the repetitive swelling melody of singing about taking the memories of a loved one with you after they pass on.
It will come a day when we will find our way. Violins playing and the angels cry.
We have at number 17, the winning song from the Eurovision Song Contest that was held this year in the UK. Lorens Tattoo. If you saw my Eurovision ranking for all the 2023 songs, this one is at number 1. And I still stand by it. So it makes sense it would make it into my overall top 40 songs of the year list. It is the only Eurovision song this year to do so. But you can't deny that this one was a deserved winner. Loreen is a powerhouse performer who knows how to put on a show full of energy and drama. And Tattoo is like the perfectly crafted power ballad pop song. So you really can't go wrong here.
You prepared for bad time as you fell apart. Are you done?
At number 16, Aurora's latest single off of her presumably upcoming album this coming year, called Your Blood, has only been growing and growing over the last month of its release in my rotation. I definitely am excited to see where Aurora is heading. As always, I will always be a devout fan of her music, and her voice alone gives her carte blanche to basically ride any sort of beat or melody that she can without me really faulting her for it. But overall, I do like everything besides just her voice on this track.
But I'm addicted to disasters thinking, and I think that you are.
At number 15, we have Disaster Master off of Nana's album, How to Start a Garden. Nana, if you're familiar, is the former lead vocalist off of Monsters and Men, the Icelandic folk indie band. I do think that they will return, but it was nice to see Nana kind of break out and have her own solo project this year. And although there are a bunch of really emotive, sparse guitar ballads that really tug at the heartstrings on that record, Disaster Master is the one that really takes the cake, both lyrically and melodically, about being your own worst enemy and how to navigate that. It's a devastatingly introspective, personal song. At number 14, we have the collaboration between electronic DJ Anima and the alternative electronic artist Grimes. At first, we all thought this was sort of Grimes' next big single for her own solo project, but it seems now that this song has actually been released on Anima's latest album, Genesis 1, that maybe this was always sort of meant more for his project than for Grimes. So I'm not entirely sure who really owns it. Obviously, he's behind the production, which, again, is a huge selling point for the song. This song takes off and then never lets you go. And it's definitely a festival pleaser and one that definitely fits in line with Grimes' ethereal AI glam bot fallen angel aesthetic. And so Welcome to the Opera is as grandiose and bewitching as I would hope a song by that title by an artist like Grimes would sound. The contrast between the space of the vocal, the warmth and the etherealness and the lightness and the catapulting propulsion of the synth breakdown in the beats really pair well.
You gotta laugh at the stupidity, 'cause I've made some real big mistakes, but you make the worst one look fine. I should have known.
At number 13, Olivia Rodrigo, the lead single off of her sophomore album, Guts, is a standout song that I think really sells how Olivia Rodrigo is, again, like I mentioned earlier, not going anywhere. She is not a one-hit wonder. I prefer Guts over her first album, miles more, as I just feel like Guts is sonically a better composed project. And I think that Vampire is the perfect encapsulation of all of the haunting, kind of bitter, resentful energy that Olivia is processing around a past relationship that cuts like a knife, that shows that she can command a chorus. That was something I wasn't 100% sure she could do with some of the more sparsely melodic elements of her first record.
My body crazy. I feel the rush, addicted to your touch. Oh, I feel the rush. It's so good, it's so good.
At number 12, we have Troye Sivan with his groovy house pop anthem Rush, which is another gay song of the summer, described as a paean to poppers, which I do not partake, but if you watch the music video, you can almost smell it. But this is definitely Troye Sivan fully unleashing the ecstatic kind of exuberance that comes out of the beats and the delivery, the almost Village People-esque chorus chanting that frames the bulk of the chorus, mixed with the house beats, just creates again a bit of a 90s feel that is very much capturing the spirit of gay frivolity. And I think that the song title perfectly encapsulates the rush of adrenaline that this song stirs up and all the hormonal kind of energy of a sweaty nightclub.
Built a fortune, how to take it, lift it up high in the clouds, almost start when crashing down. What doesn't kill you makes you humble. No one can be forever young.
So at number 11, we have 21st Century Kids, which is reimagined as an acoustic piano ballad accompanied by Christian Järvi, who is an Estonian composer, sung by the Estonian pop star Kylie. And as a longtime Kylie fan, I've reviewed this song on my channel. The song, originally in its pop form, was an earworm, but nothing as special as what is delivered in this very emotive, this ballad form. And it allows Kylie to really spotlight her vocals, even if there is almost a rap cadence to the verses. She allows herself to really hone in the best aspects of this melancholic melody. And the piano and her voice together are just woven so mellifluously that I'm spellbound upon the very first note and do not want it to end. We've finally reached the top 10.
Party to party is late, but we're wide awake. The bass in my body, I'm sinking. It's so
Contact by Kyla off of her album Raven. This song is the most gravitating off the record for me. It's, again, 90s house beats with a seductive, dreamlike vocal that entrances the listener in a sort of dizzying city skylight kind of kaleidoscope. And I think best showcases Kyla's ability to bring transcendence to synth pop music.
one more time. There's no denying, temperatures are rising. Release the pressure. You know it's special when we're slow.
At number 9, One More Time, which I do not believe will ever be a single off of Kylie's Tension album. This is the dance song of 2023 for me. The rhythm and beat is undeniable. The energy is to 100. And the celebratory, exuberant, commanding presence of Kylie and this entire song is just most glaring call to the dance floor that I could ever think of. So One More Time is a toe-tapping jam that will never lose rotation on A Night I Want to Dance. At number 8, I have another movie soundtrack, even though this time, similar to Part of Your World, we have a reimagining of an older song from a previous film called Lady in the Water. James Newton Howard, who has composed songs for a vast array of movies throughout Hollywood in the last 30 years. He recently put out an album called Night After Night, which is an album devoted to all of the scores, which are many, for M. Night Shyamalan, the acclaimed horror director. All of the scores and the motifs, the popular motifs from all of those films, 2 in particular are big fan favorites of mine. The Village and Lady in the Water, both of them scored by James Newton Howard. I could have easily chosen one of the songs that collaborating with violinist Hilary Hahn featured on this album is showcased, but I ultimately went with Lady in the Water Story, which is one of the 3 Lady in the Water motifs that are on this record. Employing a French pianist that collaborates with him to reinterpret the ethereal fairy tale melody theme of the Lady in the Water film. If you've never seen the movie Lady in the Water is not as strong as The Village. I say The Village is one of my favorite movies of all time, with also one of my favorite movie scores of all time. Lady in the Water has one of my also favorite movie scores of all time, but I would not call Lady in the Water one of my favorite movies. But the music is what really elevates that film, just like with The Village. And so I highly recommend, if this is at all interesting to you, to check out this record. He also did The Sixth Sense and other movies of M. Night's that have not as familiar to me motifs that aren't as strong. But this album is a really interesting revisit of music he made, 20, 30 years ago. So this really struck me as like, this needs to be on here, even though it wasn't initially something I thought of on amongst all these pop songs as including on this list. But interpreting this melody through piano is just so expertly done here and brings new emotional resonance to it for me.
Flowers bloom in the garden, sway in breeze. Just imagine a world where we could be.
At number 7, Ed Sheeran, of all people. I would not have predicted this a year ago if you had told me what my 2023 best of list would have been. I have always felt like Ed Sheeran shines in his emotional ballads, but usually his albums only have 1 or 2. The rest are sort of these like pub-friendly, cheesy pop songs. But this album, Subtract, which came out this year, is a gut-wrenching record. There are several ballads on this record that could have made this list, but overall I chose Sycamore, one that talks about, I believe, when Ed Sheeran's wife was diagnosed with cancer. And this was after they'd already had a very difficult, where she is about to deliver a baby daughter. And the pregnancy went well, and I believe that she was, I believe the cancer, it was just a scare. It didn't actually end up being malignant. But there were some very harrowing days that Ed Sheeran suffered in 2022. And this song responds to it in such a brutally honest and gut-wrenching manner. Imagine a world where we could be. Imagine a world where my daughter is alive, swinging on a swing underneath a sycamore tree in the summer leaves. Sycamore bringing shade from beating sun, nothing more than a word, a smoking gun. What a puzzle is this to be in love, to be planting your roots, then dig them up. Waiting on professionals to tell you how it is. What's he going to say after that? I think you better sit. Brace yourself, something's about to hit. Sycamore in the field, a lonely tree. Darling, what will become of you and me? All the thoughts that race through your head when you're in those waiting rooms. and imagining the worst, but hoping for the best. So this song at the piano is just an outpouring of emotion from Ed that I want to see. It represents the best of what he can offer. I'm not saying that, I mean, maybe I am, that when depressed, Ed makes the best music, but a lot of great art comes from really dark places. And so I was overall very impressed with this mature, very deeply personal, emotional body of work that he put out this year.
I know they think that it took somebody else to make me beautiful, beautiful.
At number 6, we have one of the longest song titles I have ever known. Grandfather, please stand on the shoulders of my father while he's deep sea fishing. For sharks in the Pacific, if you wanted to really extend it out. This is again from another equally long titled album by Lana Del Rey called Ocean. Did You Know There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard? This song is one of the least talked about off of this critically acclaimed record, and I do not understand why. I think people think of it maybe as a bit saccharine, but for me, this is a very cinematic, ocean-swept, heart-wrenching melody, again about familial bonding, about family legacy, that really, really sticks with you. And so, again, Lana mining this deep personal drama and emotion is just absolutely on breathtaking display on these windswept melodies that she concocts on this record with piano and orchestra. So at number 5, one of the Speak Now vault tracks off of the Speak Now album re-released this year is called When Emma Falls in Love, with jubilant, hopeful piano chords ushering in a song about a woman who never really trusts that the universe has has her best interest at heart when it comes to romance, but is always very, as she sings, very eager and earnest and deserving of love. And it's a fictional character. Some people think it might be about Emma Stone. Some people think it might be about the Jane Austen character of Emma. Whoever Emma may be, it's a wonderful, fictitious, but relatable even to Taylor's life, snapshot of summer romance that is so wonderfully captured in the sort of small town country bandstand melody that Taylor used to employ more with her music. Because it just jumps off the page and is an earworm sonically alone if you don't factor in even her wonderful vocals or lyrics. At number 4, we have the propulsive 80s power ballad Paradise Calling by Birdie of her new album Portraits, a cathartic, almost exorcism of energy, speaking to the parts inside all of us that just hope for a better tomorrow and want nothing more than to believe in something, to have a reason to live. And this song gets at the root of where the energy is coming from that makes this song so explosive and powerful. And Birdie really sells it for me on an up-tempo track of hers, which is not always the pairing I always kind of want for her. She's so good just acoustically at the piano. But this is the highlight song of that record. It should have been a big hit.
Dancing like the young and reckless, and I'm obsessed with this. Candy necklaces.
At number 3, we have the song Candy Necklace, which is a collaboration with Jean-Baptiste. He accompanies her on the piano. He also has some vocal parts towards the end. Candy Necklace is the most sonically interesting song on the record. There's so many interesting compositions that Lana employs as with her accompanists, especially on the piano. But there's something so haunting and captivating about the sort of wearied, haunted delivery that she gives over this icy, whimsical piano crescendos and John Batiste and her. It's an absolutely, beautiful kind of film noir style song for Lana. It definitely evokes an old time cinema feel. The music video, of course, plays into that as well. With, of course, a very, devastating metaphor hidden behind what is seemingly a lighthearted song title.
It lies us on the core. Potential is the drug they never knew, you never tried. But you see it in my eyes, and that is me.
At number 2, I have Caroline Polachek with Pretty Impossible. Again, remember, Welcome to My Island would have been in the 2022 video. Even though I didn't really finally get into Caroline until right about at the beginning of 2023, the song that I liked the most off of that record that was actually released in 2023 would be this song. Pretty Impossible is what makes Caroline is a best emblematic of everything that makes Caroline, for me, sort of the next big thing in pop. Because she's not afraid to experiment, but also it's the perfect blend between alternative and pop for me. And Pretty Impossible is also lyrically extremely rich, full of depth, full of clever and almost snarky metaphor, and full that what I see as being about, at its core, chasing perfection, chasing ideals. Potential is the drug. I mean, that's kind of the line that summarizes it the best. There's very little repetition. The song, kind of becomes its own thing as it moves through vocally all the different sections. And Caroline wanted that. She wanted as little structure as she could, even though I actually think there's a lot of pop structure within this song that some of her others don't have, which is why I like it so much. And the lyrics definitely have a stream of consciousness feel, but they also feel so deliberate and artful, which I find with a lot of Caroline's music to be. There's nuggets of real introspection and insight, shrouded in sort of enigmatic, metaphoric daydreaming, which, as Caroline points out, this song is meant to sort of espouse the feeling of within the listener.
I was an ideal, looked so alive. Turns out I'm not real, just something you paid for.
So at number 1, and believe me, again, it's always very hard for me to choose between, especially my top 5, even top 10, ranking them. It's very arbitrary. This song could have easily been number 2 and Pretty Impossible at number 1. But ultimately, I ended up going with Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For?, the song that she and Phineas composed and wrote for the Barbie soundtrack for the Barbie movie. This is a staple song, and this is not the first time that Billie has topped my Songs of the Year list. In 2020, she did with My Future, which has a very similar, very deeply introspective, melancholic, bare bones melody that Billie sells so well. This is when Billie's sparseness really comes into play. I really feel Billie is so well suited for a song like this because the focus is so much on her vocal, but she's so soft with it. But it doesn't feel sleepy. It feels commanding, but so delicate. And I think that the production around her, the reverb, also elevates that a lot. But even in live performances, I just want to wrap myself up in those vocals and float away on a cloud. And so What Was I Made For is melodically probably one of the most beautiful motifs I've heard from a movie score this year. It's used as a piano kind of movement of chords throughout major emotional moments in the Barbie movie. And there's a lot of weight to this song. This song is very much about understanding who you are, regret, reflection, confusion, existentialism. It tackles a lot of weighty subjects with very sort of transparent and easily accessible lyrics that hone right to the core of these emotions. And I just think that this is a song that universally will make everyone stop and think and catch themselves in a moment, where they're really kind of potentially running in a million different places to sort of focus the mind and think about what it is that you're living for and what it is that your legacy might be and what it is that you want to be remembered for. So I think that for all of these reasons, it's an amazing track that I would 100% be okay with winning the Oscar for Best Original Song this coming year. It's definitely a lock for nomination. I know that obviously I'm Just Ken from the Barbie movie is also a fan favorite that could easily potentially upset with an, of course, eventual nomination at the Oscars as well. But I would be rooting for this. I know Billie does already have an Oscar for No Time to Die, which kind of annoys me because I really feel like this is the more deserving moment for Billie with an Oscar win. No Time to Die is okay, but it's nowhere near on this song's level. So I know a lot of people are like, Billie's had her time, give it to someone else. I'm like, no, I still think this is the song, and it deserves to win at the Oscars, even though, of course, like I said, there's strong competition. But we shall see. Billie definitely has a lot of favor with the Academy, so I wouldn't be surprised. So that is my list. Let me know in the comments what your list would be. Of course, the songs that would have been in spot 50 to 41, I will also write down in the comments, and of course have the entire playlist with all of those songs in the order I talk about them on Apple Music, linked in the description as well. I hope you all enjoyed. Please give a like if you did. Subscribe if you are new here for more album reviews, and I will see you all in my next video. I hope you all have a wonderful, happy holiday and a wonderful new year. Peace, love, and light. Bye.